Hello, hello, welcome to our channel. Last Saturday with Tool, at least for a while until they're gonna release a new album. Big day, 8 months ago we started our journey and we went through every song by Tool. We are within the Fear Inoculum and we have three last songs on the album.
Yeah, technically, I think it's just two songs, kind of. One, so first two are songs, and the third one is just outro, I think. So just like, it's not really a song, but I think it's worth listening to this just because we already listened to the whole Fear Inoculum, so...
And that's what we do, isn't it? Yeah, we have Chocolate Chip Trip, 7empest, and Mocking Beat. I'm a bit sentimental, to be honest. I really don't want this journey to end, but I'm aware that we're gonna have a whole brand new field to discover. So yeah, let's just keep it brief. Let's focus. We're gonna try to do a bit of a summary what we did actually before this video. We listened to some songs from different albums that we've listened to before, just to kind of refresh the memory to compare. So yeah, hopefully you're gonna enjoy this. And yeah, I'm hoping to enjoy this one as well. As always, thank you so much for all your support, for all the good comments, for all your recommendations. Thank you for our patrons. If you would like to support us, the link will be under the video, and I'm ready to start.
Yeah, and as usual, I won't be taking any breaks between songs, so...
Lovely.
Yeah, Chocolate Chip Trip.
Let me know. was chocolate, yeah?
Yeah, and it's finishing up, and 7empest is about to start.
What a difference. Still have Morgan Beat. That's it?
That's it.
Oh, that was really interesting. That was so nice. And I felt like I had a moment, like a very long moment as well. So I'm quite happy, to be honest, that you've chosen 3 songs rather than 1 or 2 to our last video with Tool for the time being. I really want to start from the beginning, if I can. The chocolate chip trip, I don't know if you have any kind of ideas or how you felt that. I have to mention that, like, initially, the very first few kind of bits, it was a bit magical and I felt like from Harry Potter movie theme, but then the sound became really uncomfortable for me.
Oh, for me it was throughout the whole song it was very pleasant sounds. Even the later more heavy part, I really enjoyed that. It was like really good break between 2 songs. And yeah, I really enjoyed the whole song, really.
Oh, I see. Because I think it had this kind of cleanse purpose, to cleanse you and prepare you before the 7empest, which was really good. And we're gonna come to this, but it just felt uncomfortable, and I had a feeling it's gonna go, like, the sound is gonna go into different direction after first, like, few bits and this kind of magical theme, I'd say, that I felt. But then it just became uncomfortable for me. Yet, I think because of this, I was cleansed and I was prepared to 7empest. With the mocking beat, I want to say, or actually no, let's start with 7empest. I think it's gonna make more sense. So, I will be honest with you, Tempest, it's not something that I hear in the common speech, so I had to Google it just to ensure I fully understand what it means. And my understanding is that it is some kind of a hurricane or a storm. Am I getting the kind of vibe right, you reckon?
I found out it was something written by Shakespeare as well. It was titled Tempest. It was kind of a play written by Shakespeare.
Do you know what the play was about?
I mean, I just briefly read about it, but I'm not feeling I can explain it well. I mean, it's they classify it as romance type of play.
Something like Romeo and Juliet, yeah?
Yeah, happening on some island. I really don't know the whole plot.
Oh no, you're always gonna drop a bomb like this and then you're gonna say you didn't read enough? Come on.
I'm not saying it's related. The song is related to that play in any way. It's just I haven't known this word at all, so...
Yeah, I mean, with Shakespeare, it may be as well really metaphorical. So I'm just gonna stick to what how I understood the title and what was my first take on the song. So tempest for me is some kind of a storm, hurricane, blizzard, this type of thing, some kind of very very extreme climate occurrence, if you can say so, if that's the right word. And the hurricane in general. And to be honest, the whole song was a bit like a hurricane for me. I know it is quite literal. I can't really say words today. Sorry, guys.
Interesting that hurricane comparison, actually, because when you were talking about the chocolate chip trip, you said at the beginning it was pleasant and magical, and then it was uncomfortable. It's often you say like the silence before the storm kind of thing, that you have something like before the storm. It's actually like silence, and then it is uncomfortable for sure. So I'm just saying that analogy.
And I feel like I built it my whole kind of interpretation or my whole feeling of the song based on this. And I know it is again quite literal, but that's how I kind of felt the song. There have been some changes throughout, and I had again this type of feeling of change in likeliness as I go through it. After one part of the song, I felt, oh, this is going to be my best part. Then it happened again. I was like, no, actually, this is going to be my best part. So I was, again, in this kind of weird circle that happens pretty often with Tool. I kind of keep liking more. And the changes throughout the song were quite distinguishable as well. But I'm fortunate enough not to be in the region that is affected by any type of hurricanes. But, all I know is from some kind of movies and National Geographic, let's say. But from my understanding, when you live in like a really hurricane area that can be affected by this type of kind of climate changes, not only people who actually live there, they can feel when the storm comes, but they can actually feel and see the difference when it ends and when it's going away. And that's how I actually felt the last song, the Mocking Beat. So that was my take on it as well.
Like nothing's there, everything is destroyed, and there's only like those mice's sounds or something
that's
like
the thing.
that.
At the beginning, I thought, is it a vinyl, like a broken vinyl? But then I thought it's actually maybe birds, like kind of Amazon forest. So I thought maybe it's some kind of reflection of the nature, all that lasts after the hurricane. It's just like the pureness, maybe, like the hurricane cleanses the environment in a sense. So that was really interesting for me. And that's how I took the Mocking oh my god, honestly, sorry guys, Mocking Beat. I can really express myself properly today. And let's crack on 7empest maybe in more detail. I have a feeling it will be probably about like a hurricane that goes through your mind, or like some really disturbing events or occurrences in your brain, or through your thought process maybe. It's probably going to be much more deeper than, the literal reference to the hurricane. Nonetheless, that's how I felt it, and that's how I could actually visualize. I could visualize the hurricane throughout the song, and that was kind of exciting for me in a sense.
Interesting. I don't have any like a big theme for this song, like what it means, especially lyric wise. I maybe whenever I listen to this, I'm thinking words like argument with yourself, something like that. Like taking notice about your own emotions and trying to understand your behavior, things like that. That's but I never had any idea for this song, like for the explanation of this song, really.
Oh, really? Because that's how I think I would go towards to kind of hurricane that is caused by your words, by a debate or by confrontation as well. If you will look at the lyrics in a bit more detail, let's try to do it, because obviously it starts with heat, light and flash, misleading, some other keywords, acting all surprised when you're caught in the lie, into a dubious state of serenity. We know better, it's not unlike you. So do you know some really vivid reactions of certain people when they are caught on a big lie? It can cause like a big of a hurricane in the household, right? And that's what can be an expression of within the song, but also, even your own struggles in your own mind. Again, this kind of self-dialogue and struggling, or moments of realization that you've been lying to yourself, for example. It can cause a hurricane, and it can cause some tempest, some blizzard in your going through your mind. And if you can say it like this, kind of metaphorically, what do you reckon?
I like what I'm hearing. I would maybe just ask a follow-up question about that, because like I said, I don't have any of my own thoughts really, at least not not too complicated ones. So when you're saying it is like a hurricane, so the conflict, it is like arguing like the conflict, and it's resembles the hurricane. Would you say it always also, after it ends, it leaves you with the peace, or it leaves you with like this silence kind of?
That's the thing. That's how I link this to the mocking beat. That's how I felt it ends. There's just silent left, because all the words have been exhausted at both ends. Wherever it is your internal dialogue and internal fight, or fight between two people, for example, having a big argument, right? There is this kind of very strange moment after it all ends. There is some kind of silence and kind of, yeah, like birds or kind of broken vinyl, So that's I thought it is actually really good reflection, both of the actual hurricane or some kind of blizzard, and the state right after a big fight, for example.
Okay, that's very interesting. I'm liking this explanation actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's my take on it. It's strange that you don't have any different takes on it. And the other part of the song I really, really liked, because again, I could feel a differences and kind of a differences in the mood. A whole musical aspect I felt was really good and really nice to my ears. So that was like a big difference compared to the chocolate chip trip as well. But you could hear like a differences, different tempo. His voice was kind of really, really changing throughout as well. And the moment that I reflected upon was the one where he said, towards the end of the song, "Control your delusion, insane and striking at random, victim of your certainty, and therefore your doubts, not an option. Blame us, the tempest will be just that. So try as you may, feeble, your attempt to atone, your words to erase all the damage cannot." So I feel like this whole part, it was still within this hurricane tone, but that was the end of an argument or the end of your own battle in your mind, depending how you're feeling, because it was quite different. It had this more delicate tone compared to the rest, but there was still this kind of, it's still a fight, but we are at the end, and we are either losing or we just gonna, each of us has our own rights. You're not gonna change our minds, or I acknowledge this, I don't like it, but this is like it is.
Could this
The battle continues.
could this be actually a learning part of the discussion or argument or a fight? Because like I think that pretty much every fight or every argument you can learn from it, right? And maybe this is at least when you read it right now, because when I was listening to the song, I haven't really thought about that. I was just taking in the song. I really enjoyed the music and so on. But now when you read those words, it seemed to me like it's victim of your certainty and so on. Like maybe this is a part from which at which point you should learn from the whole tempest even.
Were you looking at what came out of this whole tempest? That's like the essence, isn't it? That's what tempest meant to do. And
then it says a tempest must be just that. Couple of
that's what it should make you think about those things, and think twice, and maybe take out something from it, learn a lesson.
But also learn about the topic that tempest was about or the argument was about, but also learn about yourself, how you repeat the patterns, how,
Mm-hmm.
because it's often the case that, especially for people's in relationships like a family or people at work or at
Mm-hmm.
school, they often repeat exactly the same patterns over and over again, like arguing about the same things in the same type of scheme, like they just follow the same things over and over again. But and it's hard to change. It might be
Mm-hmm.
due to their temperament, and like they might not want it, but that's who they are.
But they
And
may be also at this stage in life that it's not the right time for them. They can't actually realize, and they, or maybe they are unable to take something out of it and learn from mistakes, like you said.
yeah, or they even don't know. They don't notice the pattern. They just follow it, and they're not realizing it's happening like that. So maybe they need a little bit of a guidance, and maybe this is kind of a guidance.
So actually, I feel like to add a bit to what you said, the interpretation of, let's say, stick to two people to make it a bit easier, have an argument. I think that would fit a bit better than to have your own battle with yourself, because the actual tempest, the hurricane, the argument that you have with the second person, sometimes all it takes is the second person telling you certain things, certain errors you made, pointing them out in a certain way to make you realize the actual patterns and the errors you have been repeating. And what if this part of the song is this part when it actually touched you to the point when you are starting noticing those patterns and this delusion, perhaps the lies. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I think I do, yeah. I think I do, and I might go with this actually. It sounds plausible.
Yeah. And sometimes, it can take years and years. You may never notice these patterns, but sometimes it takes even like a random argument with a random person can cause this. Certain words can touch you in a way and make you realize things you never realized before, even though they seem so simple, and it seems so simple that you haven't keep repeating these patterns for so many years, yet all it took was this argument with this other person, let's say. Yeah. I'm thinking about, my own kind of patterns right now. It happened to me a few times. I'm pretty sure it happened to many of you as well. And it may still happen, right? Because we never stop learning.
Yeah, but also maybe, and this is like very long shot. So, and a little bit of sidetracking from the main
Mm-hmm.
thing. But what if it's also like the whole song? Maybe it's also saying that this tempest, so this storm, this
Mm-hmm.
argument, these patterns you follow, it's actually useful because sometimes you need to be given an energy to act on something, right? And one thing that arguing can give you is like a boost of adrenaline,
Mm-hmm.
like give you an energy, so you have more kind of like power, but you needed to be wrong in order to be stronger for a second, and then if you can synthesize it, if you can realize the mistakes, then you can use that energy for good. And this is like
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying a long shot. Yeah.
Not a long shot. I really like this, but yes, it is like another metaphor, and we have the thesis, the antithesis, and that's what you need to get some kind of synthesis. That's the only way you can actually learn and to find out about your errors, because if no one is gonna point them out to you, how are you gonna know that these
Al-
are actually errors
Also, you get damage sometimes in the
in the
storm,
process?
in the process, and maybe there's like, if not words, maybe that damage to you, that whatever that damage has been, will make you consider some things, and then you can see that damage as a necessary thing that happened to you, because so you were foolish, you were basically wrong, and you went to war with someone, or
Mm-hmm.
with something, you got hurt, and you couldn't learn until you got hurt, because
Mm-hmm.
you would be too blameless, you would be too too sure, or like you had no doubts about your being right. But when the force bigger than you, like a storm, like a nature, is kind of punishing you, maybe then you can think about it, and maybe then you will realize something.
Oh, I really like this. You know, it also kind of brings me back a little bit to the call-in voices as well, which we've listened to before. Now, when I look at the call-in voices and the rest of the songs from perspective, I feel like that's what the 7empest is for. This kind of summarizes the whole album, because that's what the rest of the songs was for, to get to the stage of the hurricane, of the blizzard, whatever it is blizzard in your mind when you're actually, going through this, or wherever it is between, like an argument between two people, like you said.
It's something like this whole album might be telling about the same thing using different metaphors almost. And that would be actually very smart and cool. Like having an array of different metaphors speaking to the same topic, kind of. And that topic would be something like conflict, nature, the nature of conflict, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, the trickiness of our mind as well.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking about the Fountain of Youth again, then the Psychopath again, call-in voices, don't you dare to point your finger at me. So it's like, it's scream from your mind. And then you have the hurricane, where you kind of stand when somebody is pointing out, or when because of the hurricane, you are realizing that's what was in front of you this whole time. And potential mistakes, potential errors. It is really interesting. I really like it. And I absolutely loved 7empest in general.
But don't you think it was kind of not a tool alike at the beginning? Kind of like that was my thinking about the 7empest, like for the first 5 times I listened to it. It was feeling like not tool kind of song.
To be honest,
but now it does.
I don't. I felt like it was tool, but you know what? I think I've mentioned at the beginning, we've listened to some songs from the Opiate, then the Undertow, then the Enema. Honestly, you can criticize me for it, but I felt like the beginning of the song had this feel of Opiate and the Undertow. It still felt like Tool, but just the start of the song kind of felt like this kind of attitude that was in the albums. But then obviously we had loads of kind of changes. It was really mature, really sophisticated.
This was pretty sophisticated song, yeah. It had like 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 if you count the transitions, separate parts. You could pretty easily cut off like 5-6 songs out of just this one.
Yeah. And I really like the really long musical parts.
And there was a theme, like this melody across the whole song that just like burnt into your brain. At least for me, I really enjoyed that melody, and every time that melody was repeating, you were like rewarded because of that for hearing this. It's a little bit like classical music type of long patterns that you just start realizing after, like, the longer you listen. That was my at least my thinking, and I really liked this song for that.
So basically, you compared 7empest to the classical music, yes?
It's built similarly to some songs, yeah.
Maybe we should do reaction to that, to this, like Beethoven, for example.
I would love to, yeah.
Yeah, I think the last time I heard classical music, I will be honest, you can criticize me again, was like a very, very long time ago. I don't want to say my primary school.
Actually, we should ask people in the comments, would they like it? Because I don't know if there's anything like that on YouTube. Even if there is, it's okay. But I think that would be interesting, because there's so much good classical music, even more modern classical music out there, that I think it would be great.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I think I'm lying a bit. We've heard the classical music the other day in some Netflix movie, haven't we?
Which
there
one?
was quite a few, I think. There was I'm not gonna quote the movies we watched recently. We ran out of movies basically, so we watch everything there is. which is not great.
Yeah,
by
I'm
the
still
way.
trying to convince you to watching Deer Hunter again.
Ah, come on. uh, I feel like 2 times is sufficient for me. So coming back to the songs, yes, this is the last video reacting to Tool essentially until they're gonna make a new album. So yes, it was. I even found it quite hard to express myself at the beginning because I am quite sentimental. I absolutely love this journey. I reminded myself like how I changed as well when it all started. How my feeling of Tool, you know, and my approach to listening to Tool songs changed throughout as well. And what I've kind of picked up to kind of summarize maybe all the albums is what you've provided in your comments, essentially, that their music is growing so much, they are changing, and you can see like the matureness, the sophistication that is increasing with every album. Nonetheless, I still think that the Opeth and the Undertow are quite comparatively, I'd say, similar in the structure. That the bigger difference in on the musical level, on the artist's artism level, on this kind of sophistication, I could feel on the third album from Enema onwards. So that was kind of main thought that I wanted to share with you.
Yeah, I want to agree. I do agree. What do you think about the switch between 10,000 Days and Fear Inoculum, like 13 years after? I think there was a big change as well. They become more, even more mature, I would say, even more. I lack words to review like actual musical performance, but it just for me it feels so much more thought through, but still not lacking the energy, and it might take a little bit more to appreciate each song from those from this new album. But I really loved the new album, I have to say.
To be honest, for me, from 10,000 Days onwards, I feel like it would be really hard to do it any better. From that point, there is certain level of professionalism, and they reached this stage, I felt, in 10,000 Days. But obviously the main difference for me was the actual lyrics, the motto and what comes with the song, like the essence. That was completely different. In this album, I felt there was a bit more of a play, again, a bit more musical play with different sounds, different effects. There was more and more.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't want to say, that's the thing, I don't want to say problems reflected in the songs, you know, like the essence of the song. It was just different. It had slightly different kind of attitude. Obviously 10,000 Days it is different from the Fear Inoculum, right?
Yeah.
But again, also, every single album was kept in a certain kind of theme that you could drone from every song to some degree. Obviously, the songs were different, completely different.
I think we also did what we did today with every previous album, that at the end we still were seeing like that all songs were connecting together for some bigger theme. And yeah, and that's great actually, isn't it? Because
yeah, and that's basically what I've been trying to say, that's what you can tell by every single album. You can always drone, whatever you're interpreter or trying to analyze every single song on the album, you kind of find even a small kind of correlation or relation to the previous songs and to the album as a whole.
And I think, and that might be again a long shot, that maybe you can do the same on the level of albums. So every album is about something a little bit different, but maybe I'm pretty sure there is something in common among each of them, all of them.
I'm pretty sure you're right. I don't know if
I'm
we
thinking
can
human
do it today.
nature. That's my first thought.
Human nature, maybe human experiences. But then, you have a really good songs that tell you a lot about alchemy and about the structure of the universe. So we can always kind of abstract higher and higher.
And that's great.
It is great. I really, honestly, throughout this past 8 months, I've learned so much on so many levels, not just about Tool as a and Maynard, sorry, as an artist, not about Tool songs, but I learned quite a lot. We had such a great conversations. I also learned to listen better to you, I think, thanks to our weekly chats. I learned being more regular as well, because we have been doing it effectively every single week on Saturday. So there's so many things I learned, not to mention the the structure of drums, or things such as how to make a video on YouTube, right? Like how to put it all together. So honestly, it's been such a joy to learn all of this, to experience all of this, and to be able to discuss the psychological and physical and epistemological issues as well. So yeah, that's all I can say. Like I said, I'm still a bit sentimental, and it's still a bit hard for me in a sense to finish this episode. If you have been with us just because of Tool, thank you so much. If you are willing to stay with us, we will continue the journey, and I'm gonna be doing reactions every week. And there's the whole brand new of artists to discover. We've decided that next week we're gonna take a break from Maynard's voice, just to diversify it a little bit, and we've decided to go with. Just say it. Porcupine Tree.
Okay.
I didn't want to say it only because I can't say it properly.
No, I think it's correct. Porcupine Tree. Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah, I'll pick some, because Anesthetize was the most wanted song, I think, from Porcupine Tree, but there's a couple more that I think are great, so I'll pick something. But
I mean, it doesn't have to be like first song on the album. We've started the journey with quite a popular songs by Tool, right? That was my first go, so I'm more than happy to do the same. And after like further fourth reaction, we've decided that we actually would like to discover albums in full and start the chronological order. So maybe it will come naturally. I'm gonna leave you the.
That's excellent point, because I am thinking the same actually, and because of that, I would not like to pick like the best in quotes or the most characteristic popular songs at the beginning. I would pick something like we did with Tool, something non-obvious and but something interesting enough that you can get hooked into the band or not. I don't know. That's why I'm not thinking something super popular.
I'm gonna leave it with you.
Yeah.
You have all initiative. I'm just gonna follow your lead. You do know we had a chat about this, but we can always discuss this just to ensure that the reaction is not going to be a reaction to something I've listened before. I know quite a lot of you recommended Pink Floyd, for example, which is great, and I love Pink Floyd. I don't know their full albums, but there are certain songs that I know pretty well. So obviously I wouldn't like to disappoint you, but I also want to be honest with you. So I wouldn't like to do the reaction to something that I've listened to before. With Porcupine Tree, I'm quite confident that I haven't heard this band before, so we are absolutely good to go with wherever you're gonna choose from them.
Cool. And I'd love, I'll say it again, I'd love people watching to comment about the classical music possibilities, because I'm really, I would really love that.
Yeah, and I think it's good time to finish. We have to finish at some point. If you're still with us, thank you so much for being with us throughout this journey, and I hope see you next week. Thank you.
I hoped you will say spiral out.
Yes, just spiral out. Oh, I can't say it.
And keep going.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.